Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be fixing the pedal for my Alesis Turbo drum set. The pedal makes some weird noises, it's kind of annoying. But anyways, I'm using a putty knife and a screwdriver. He's a P1 screwdriver. Those two tools are the only tools you need, so I'm starting here by getting the putty knife under the little Velcro thing that keeps it from scooting around. Once you get it kind of peeled off with the putty knife, you can take it off. And I'm taking that off because there are two screws underneath. So I'm going to get the first two screws on top, and then there's two screws on bottom on that plate, and that plate you just take out. So right here, yeah, this screwdriver is really nice. It comes with tons of bits. You don't have to. Just make sure you have a P1. Otherwise, you're going to, or smaller. Otherwise, you're going to strip out the actual screws. They're pretty small. And I want to let you guys know that there are two different types of screws when I'm going to be taking this apart. They are two different thread sizes and two different lengths, so make sure not to get them mixed up. But I am fixing this because I've been playing on it, and the sound's not right. It sometimes will activate multiple times when you have the pedal depressed, and it gets pretty annoying. So I've heard on Reddit that and on other forums that it's just it's like an output issue with the output. As you can see here, I got it. I just can't get it focused. You got the blue switch. Okay, that's better. The blue switch and the wires, they're going to the output. So I'm pretty sure that's what's bad, is the output. So I went online and I ordered two new outputs for the like guitars or something. They're mono outputs. Don't get the stereo outputs. That probably won't work. But yeah, so here we got, I'm just taking it apart. As you can see, it's pretty simple. So the white little tab is pressed down by the pedal, which has a little extension that goes down, and it's a foam piece, and it just taps that, and that's what activates the output and sends the signal to the drum module. So yeah, just once again, these screws that I'm taking out right now are a totally different size, so please don't mix them up. I almost did that. Okay, so I have a graphic here, a little picture that I took of the hi-hat pedal that I disassembled. It's the same exact as the bass drum pedal, but the one that we want to point out here is the instrument cable output. I have a little thing pointing to that. It's the little black box, and that attaches to the trigger, which is the little blue thing, and that all goes on the plate, which is that the black plate on the right, and that all goes inside the pedal housing. Okay, so here is a picture, screenshot of the output jack that I'm getting. I bought two of them yesterday, and they should be coming in 2 to 6 days. I recommend this one. It's got really good reviews. Best output jack I could find. So I'll be back when they come, and I will resume the video with the reassembly of this, and then hopefully it'll work. We'll see. Alright, I'm back. I got the new part that I ordered on Sweetwater. Today we're going to be installing it. I ordered it the day that I undid or took apart the pedals, which was I believe last Sunday, and I got them the new outputs in the mail yesterday, which was Friday. Today I'm recording this. It's Saturday. Hopefully this Monday, by this Monday, the YouTube video will be up on the platform for y'all to watch. But anyways, let's get to it right now. So hopefully y'all got your, pedals, your trigger, and your output taken off. Today we're going to be putting it back in, doing all that jazz, making sure it works. I already did it to one of my pedals. So for this, we're going to need a screwdriver. We're going to need wire cutters. You're going to need some heat shrink. I picked up some 3/16 inch heat shrink at Ace earlier today. It's only like $5. And a heat gun. Or in my case, I couldn't find my Harbor Freight $15 heat gun. So I just hair dryer. So anyways, we're going to start with the output right here. So at the very end, those two, the red and black wires, you're going to want to snip as close to the output as you can. As you can see here, I'm trying to get very close because there's not a ton of room, not a ton of wiggle room. You need as much wire as you can to get the output into where you can plug it in from its stock location. So so here we go. We snip it, and make sure you get a good snip on both. You squeeze the wire cutters tight, and make sure you hear them come together. Otherwise, you could have a weird issue right there. So the output, that's the junk output. We're going to put that away, and hopefully won't have any more of these weird noises. So now the next step is we want to strip the wire. So grab your wire cutter and look for the small holes that say the gauge number, and look for 20 to 22 gauge. And so on that 20 to 22 gauge, you're going to want to put the wire in that little hole. You're going to open it up, and you're going to put the wire in the hole. You're going to press down like you're cutting like the wire. Remember how you cut the wire? You press down. But it just takes the insulation off the wire. So you push down probably about a little more than about halfway of the wire. You push down, squeeze hard, and then pull, but gently. Make sure the insulation comes off without any of the wire coming off. So I didn't get quite enough on that, so we'll go there. That's about a third. Take about a third of the insulation off. Then go to the black wire. Do the same. Sometimes you got to be careful. All right. Now we want to take the wires and see how they're kind of going every which way. These are aluminum wires, so not as safe and as effective as copper wires, but you're going to want to spin them and kind of twist them, almost like you're braiding someone's hair or something like that. I don't even know how to braid someone's hair. I just said that on the spot. But anyways, you're going to want to twist them so they don't get loose and you don't have loose little hairs coming out. So next up, we're going to hook up the jack, or the output jack. This is the important part, the new piece that we ordered. So as you can see, this jack has two parts. It's got 4 different prongs, but 2 of the prongs. So there's 2 prongs that do one job and 2 prongs that do the other job. If I can get it to focus, okay. So the 2 smaller prongs are the ground wire. Okay, that's the black wire that attaches to the black part of the instrument cable. The 2 taller prongs are the positive, which controls the signal. So if you're looking at it from this angle, from the outside where the instrument cable will be put in, so this side that you're seeing right now is going to be on the inside. So from here, from this view, the right side, the right little hook that my other pointer finger is on, is going to be the red wire. And the left hook that I'm tapping right now is going to be the ground wire. Make sure you don't mess this up. Okay.
But yeah, make sure you get that good, because if you have it messed up, then you won't get your signal. And make sure you're looking from the back. And the right is red, left is black/ground wire. Red positive, right. Black, ground, negative. Drill that in your mind. Make sure you know that, because if you mess it up, then you're gonna have to redo all this, and it's gonna be a pain in the butt. So next, get out your heat shrink. Like I said, I got 3/16 inch heat shrink. It's a 2-to-1 shrink ratio, meaning that it will collapse when you heat it up to half of the size it was. So I'm cutting off a piece, two 1/2-inch pieces of heat shrink, one for each terminal that I showed you guys earlier that we're going to be attaching the wires to. So on that terminal, there's the 2 of them that I was showing you, and so I'm going to slip the heat shrink on each wire first, so I can get it easier. I don't have to do that hassle before, all that stuff. So I'm going to try to zoom in so you guys can see it better. Okay, yeah. So, focus. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, I'm putting the heat shrink on. I hope this is easier for you guys to see. Cutting another 1/2-inch piece or so. It doesn't exactly matter if it's 1/2 inch. It's just gotta be able to cover that terminal that I was telling you guys, the 2 terminals that I was telling you guys about that you don't want to mix up. So remember, right is red, left is black/ground, red/positive. So I got it out right here, and those 2 little terminals. Okay, make sure you're looking from the back when you say right. I hope this isn't confusing. I'm not going to say blah blah blah, all this other stuff, so you guys get even confused even more. But as you can see, I'm putting the wire in through that little hole on the terminal. I just go up and down, and then kind of twist it around the terminal, so I'm making sure I get a good connection. Because if you don't have a good connection, then a stable signal will not be able to flow through the output. So I'm doing the same with the black wire, just pushing it through the little hole in the terminal, and then around. So I'm making sure it's getting a solid connection. Sorry, you can't really see it. It's too small to really be able to see. So I slipped it around, and then now I'm slipping the heat shrink over the terminals. Okay, so this is the heat shrink, unshrunken heat shrink. Make sure it stays like that before you get your heat gun or your air dryer or whatever you got. Make sure it doesn't move and all that, and hold down the terminal or the switch plate with one finger or hand or something else, but it'll get a little warm, and then you just want to shoot that heat gun at that for probably a solid, I don't know, 45 seconds to a minute. As you can see, it does, as you can probably tell if you've ever used a hairdryer before or a heat gun, it gets kind of warm, so it's kind of annoying and not fun. But yeah, I'm just down for, like I said, 45 seconds to a minute. It'll shrink, and it will kind of take the form. The heat shrink will kind of be this film around the terminal, so it insulates the terminal so nothing gets on it. You're not going to have the likelihood of short circuiting, and it just keeps it nice and tight, so your wires don't come loose or stuff like this. Andy the electrician, this is for you. Solid shout out to Andy the electrician. He is going to be using a lot of heat shrink in his future. Anyways, yeah, for 45 seconds to a minute, blah blah blah, all that spiel. So just make sure you get even heat around the whole thing, because you don't want one side shrinking, you want all sides shrinking and just kind of concealing that the terminal. Okay, so I think that's it. Oh, I remember here. It was so hot that I melted some of the hot glue that was on the terminal to the switch. But that's fine. It's soldered there anyway. It's just make sure when you're touching it, you're not touching any of the metal parts because it does get kind of hot. As you can see here, I decided it was a little too hot for my fingers, so I'm just gonna put it on the table and zoom in and get a good picture of that. Sorry, this is only like my third time shooting videos on this camera. It's a really nice camera. It records in 4K, 30 frames a second. But yeah, as you can see here, that's the original size of the heat shrink that I'm holding in my hand. As you can see, it shrinks. That's about half the size, and it shrinks around the terminal. You can see the little bulge in there. That's the wire, and then the terminal. So that way it's insulated, and I don't got to worry about any problems like water coming in or, my wires coming loose. Okay, so now we got to get our pedal housing back because we're going to be putting this all back together. So yeah, we're finally there, fixing this problem. So get your small screws out. Remember how I told you guys not to mix your screws up. Get the small screws out. The smaller screws are the ones that go up there, and we're gonna put the whole circuit back in. So remember the pedal or the trigger goes. The white part of the trigger faces the little rubber patch on the housing. So make sure you line up your screw holes with the holes on the little PCB. It's really important that you do. If you get the wrong orientation, your output's not going to be facing the right way. Blah 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 blah. All these important stuff. Okay, you want your output facing the right way because there's a designated hole for that. So yeah, these screws don't show up very well on camera anyways. Yeah, just make sure you get it on each hole and you evenly tighten them. Yeah, and I like to tighten by holding the screwdriver in place but twisting the actual the bit. It's a lot faster and it's pretty satisfying. It's pretty cool. So I got that stuck in there. But yeah, make sure even pressure on all of that. Otherwise, if you don't have even pressure in your screws, it can crack the PCB and the silicone, and you don't want that. Even on something as simple as just this trigger, you don't want that because the trigger is actually connected to the PCB. And if that gets messed up, your wiring can get messed up and you could have a whole different problem on your hands. So right now I'm taking off the two little nuts off the output, because on the inside of the pedal housing, the pedal which I'm got back right here behind the camera, it won't be able to fit behind that because there's this little wall. So only the little tube part can be on the inside. But you're going to save those. You want to save the washer and the nuts for securing the output. So again, remember to get that rubber pad facing that way. You can only put this in one way. Really, it's easier than it is. But this is the hard part. Okay, so you want getting the nut on the actual output, because it's not in place like the old one was. You have to make sure you get the nut on there. Not even while it's stationary, but you just got to get it slightly on and then you can slap everything in, and then you get it at the right angle, and then you can start threading it and tightening it even more to get your output set right. So you can see it was taking me a while to figure that out. As you know, fixes for these things are sometimes a little challenging. You kind of gotta figure stuff out, use intuition as you go. But I think the look of these, I mean, not to say so myself, but I mean, they look kind of cool. They look kind of sharp. So, I like it. It gives it a little custom look. Whoa, what you got going on in your pedals there? But it's pretty cool. So now I got it tightened down. You want to tighten it so it's snug, and you can't tighten it anymore. But you don't want to pull out your ratchet and your socket set, because if you over tighten it, that might just pull the whole thing out and might just break the brittle plastic, which that is this housing. So just be careful. And right now you can kind of see the wires are still connected through that little hole in the top where the pedal goes through, and it activates the trigger. So now to secure the plate back on, we're going to get our bigger screws that we didn't use for putting the actual PCB back on the housing. Now we're screwing the housing back into the pedal, the whole assembly back in, or the assembly back into the pedal, excuse me. You're going to get it there. And again, this isn't as important to be even, but you still want to be even, because if you're not even, you could have uneven pressure on the trigger, and uneven pressure on the trigger could cause wear and eventual replacement of the trigger again, I'm assuming, because like we've seen, with the aluminum wire, which is, you can't even use aluminum wires in houses or buildings because it's has a history of being flammable. But yeah, just make sure you're careful with stuff like that. But moral of the story, don't use aluminum wire in high voltage situations. Fortunately, this is low voltage, 9 volts, so you can get away with stuff like that. But yeah, that concludes it. And now time to test your pedals out. Good luck.